Hello, my name is Corey Cleveland, and I'm here with Doug Hurst, Director of Eclipse and former Executive Chairman of Northern Empire. Doug, thank you very much for making the time.
Thanks so much for inviting me, Corey.
I'm looking forward to the discussion here because there's some big news. Can you give us, before we get into that, can you give us your background and then your position with Eclipse?
Sure. So I'm currently a director of Eclipse, and I really came over from the Northern Empire team. I was the executive chairman at Northern Empire. Mike did most of the heavy lifting. I just gave a bit of gray sage advice from the edges. But all the best elements of the Northern Empire team came into Eclipse. So prior to that, I was VP of Corporate Development for a company called Newmarket Gold. And Newmarket bought the Fosterville mine in Australia in 2015, and the team there was such a great group to work with. And we ended up selling to Kirkland Lake, which ended up doing very well as a consequence of those assets. So it was a great one. My background is that I got a degree in geology many moons ago. I worked as a mining analyst in Vancouver for about 10 years. And then I consulted on my own for quite a while. And then in the early part of the last decade, sort of 2002, 2003, a friend and I started a royalty company. So the founders of the company were Doug Silver and myself, and we started a company called International Royalty Corporation, which we eventually sold to Royal Gold. So so I've been on both the technical as well as the financial, as well as the corporate executive side in the mining industry for more than 30 years.
What I can say here is I can feel that you're very humble with the successes you've had, because the numbers behind those exits are definitely in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and I think that's fascinating. I also think it's very interesting, your experience as a mining analyst, and want to dive into the Eclipse and Northern Vertex merger. What do you see there? Can you explain to us the rationale behind that and why you see this as a very good thing for both Eclipse and Northern Vertex?
Well, it's very much like the Newmarket merger. So when Newmarket came together with Crocodile Gold had an excellent operating team, but they didn't understand capital markets. They didn't understand investor relations, and so that's why that deal works so well. And we see a direct parallel here. So Eclipse has this wonderful exploration manager, very, very smart guy. The directors and the team that Eclipse is bringing to the Vertex merger is almost identical. So we have a strong capital markets presence. We have a very good investor relations, and we have the deal-making capability that Vertex does not have. So Vertex has a good operating team, a mine that's making very good cash flow at the current market price. And what we see is that the assets at Moss, the exploration potential is very good, Now, when we look at doing deals, we're thrilled if the price of gold goes up, but we don't care. What we need to see is that, does the deal that you're doing in the current context of the market, does it work? And we feel that the operations are good and they're strong and they're improving, but we see a lot of blue sky here. And the blue sky potential is in the exploration. We don't need the price of metal to go up. We'll be thrilled if it does, but it's not part of our game plan.
Can you explain to us then how this merger effectively becomes a platform for greater exploration and greater development?
So the operation up until now has really, Vertex has really been focusing on the operation, trying to get their costs under control, making sure that that the mine is running to their expectations, and they've spent a lot of effort and time and smarts trying to pull the operation together. Well, it's now right on the cusp of really starting to perform well. And so they really haven't thought about the exploration end of it. They have done some drilling, but what they really need is that that exploration manager that has the ability to really figure out where the reserves and resources will end up coming. And that's what we bring to the table.
Now, just to wrap up, can you share with us any final thoughts of this merger and what we should expect?
What we're working with is that collectively Vertex and Eclipse get to work with a blank sheet. The mine is running well, so that's in good hands. The exploration potential is there, and so we'll be able to enhance that by bringing fresh capital, new expertise to the table. And we just see that this is sort of a remake of an asset that the market isn't really aware of. Very similar to Northern Empire. Figuring out an asset that everybody had not forgotten about, but really wasn't aware of. And we just see that there's a lot of room here to improve the value of these assets.
Well, Doug, thank you so much for making the time.
No, it's my pleasure. Thanks so much for the invite, Corey.